Ever wonder how quickly your entire future can change because of a backroom deal you had absolutely no say in? Quinn Hughes is about to discover this harsh reality as the NHL's new collective bargaining agreement just slashed his maximum contract length from 8 years to 7. And that single year could cost him upwards of $40 million in guaranteed money while fundamentally altering the Vancouver Canucks championship timeline. The Hughes hostage situation. When superstars become prisoners, let's set the stage for what might be the most consequential contract negotiation in Canucks history. Quinn Hughes, the dynamic captain who's become the cornerstone of Vancouver's franchise, is eligible for a contract extension on July 1st. This isn't just any contract negotiation, it's the kind that determines whether a franchise ascends to championship contention or watches their best player walk away to greener pastures. Jim Rutherford, the Canucks president of hockey operations, has been brutally honest about the stakes. If they can't extend Hughes, they'll likely have to trade him. Translation: Vancouver's championship aspirations live or die based on their ability to convince their superstar defenseman that staying put gives him the best chance at Stanley Cup glory. But here's where this story takes a devastating turn. Just as Hughes approaches the most important contract negotiation of his career, the NHL and NHLPA have agreed to a framework that fundamentally changes the rules of engagement. Under the new CBA extension, Hughes' maximum contract length drops from 8 years to 7, potentially costing him tens of millions in guaranteed money while giving Vancouver one less year of cost certainty. This isn't just about contract terms. It's about the cruel timing of regulatory changes that could reshape Hughes' entire career trajectory. One day he's looking at 8-year security, the next day he's facing 7-year uncertainty, all because of decisions made in boardrooms he'll never see. The $40 million question: what that missing year really costs the difference between a 7-year and 8-year contract isn't just mathematical, it's astronomical when you're talking about elite NHL talent entering their prime. Hughes is coming off a season where he established himself as one of the league's premier defensemen, the kind of player who commands maximum dollars over maximum years. Consider the financial implications. If Hughes signs for $12 million annually over 7 years, he's guaranteed $84 million. An 8-year deal at the same rate would guarantee $96 million. That's $12 million in guaranteed money vanishing because of CBA changes he had no control over. But the real financial impact goes deeper than simple multiplication. Elite players like Hughes typically front-load their contracts with higher average annual values in exchange for longer-term security. An 8-year deal might have commanded $13 million per season, bringing the total to $104 million. The shorter-term limit doesn't just cost him 1 year of salary, it potentially reduces his entire per-year earning power because teams have less time to amortize risk. The psychological impact extends beyond pure dollars. Hughes was planning his financial future around 8-year security, the kind of deal that sets up generational wealth and allows players to make career decisions based on hockey rather than financial necessity. Now he's forced to accept shorter-term security in a sport where career-ending injuries can happen on any shift. The owner's master plan, risk mitigation through term limitation, the new CBA provisions reveal a strategic shift in how NHL ownership views long-term contracts in an era of rapidly escalating salary caps. According to reports, the salary cap will increase to $95.5 million, $104 million, and $113 million over the next 3 seasons. Increases that would make current long-term deals look like bargains in hindsight. Frank Saravalli's reporting from the Daily Faceoff indicates this change primarily benefits owners who are getting nervous about committing to lengthy deals while the salary cap skyrockets. By limiting maximum terms to 7 years for re-signings and 6 years for free agents, ownership groups are essentially protecting themselves from the risk of paying 2025 money for 2032 production. This represents a fundamental philosophical shift in NHL economics. Instead of betting on player longevity and accepting the risk of declining performance in later contract years, owners are forcing more frequent renegotiation cycles. They're trading long-term cost certainty for more frequent opportunities to adjust to market conditions. But there's an unintended consequence that could benefit players like Hughes. Shorter contracts mean more frequent trips to the free agent market, potentially allowing elite talents to capitalize on salary cap increases multiple times throughout their careers instead of being locked into deals that become team-friendly over time. The Vancouver dilemma: championship window meets contract reality for the Canucks. The CBA changes create a strategic nightmare wrapped in salary cap complexity. They're trying to convince Hughes that Vancouver offers his best championship opportunity while simultaneously negotiating under rules that reduce their ability to provide long-term security. The shortened maximum term puts additional pressure on Vancouver to demonstrate immediate championship viability. If Hughes can only commit for 7 years instead of 8, every season becomes more precious. The Canucks can't afford to waste years of Hughes' prime while building around him. They need to contend immediately to justify his commitment. This urgency could force Vancouver into aggressive roster moves that might not align with their long-term planning. Instead of patient development and strategic asset management, they might feel pressured to trade prospects and picks for immediate upgrades. The shortened contract timeline essentially compresses their championship window before it even opens. The alternative, losing Hughes, would be catastrophic for Vancouver's franchise trajectory. He's not just their best player. He's their franchise cornerstone, the player around whom they've built their entire organizational identity. Trading him would signal a complete organizational reset at a time when their fan base expects championship contention. The broader CBA revolution, 84 games and LTIR loopholes, Hughes' contract situation is just one component of sweeping changes coming to the NHL landscape. The new CBA framework includes an expanded 84-game regular season, modified playoff salary cap rules, and revised draft regulations that will reshape how teams construct rosters and manage assets. The 84-game season represents pure revenue optimization. 2 additional games generate significant additional income for teams, while potentially creating more wear and tear on players. The trade-off includes a shortened preseason, suggesting the league prioritizes regular season revenue over exhibition preparation. Perhaps more significantly, the new agreement addresses the LTIR loophole that allowed teams like Edmonton to dramatically exceed the salary cap during playoff runs by keeping injured players on long-term injured reserve until postseason play began. These changes could fundamentally alter how teams approach roster construction and playoff preparation. The modified draft rules extend team control over prospects until age 22, giving organizations more time to develop selections while reducing the urgency around prospect development. This could lead to more patient organizational building, but also longer periods before prospects can explore free agency options. The Hughes decision, legacy versus security. Quinn Hughes faces a career-defining decision complicated by factors completely outside his control. The CBA changes haven't just altered the financial landscape. They've fundamentally changed the risk-reward calculation that determines where elite players commit their prime years. Under the old system, Hughes could have secured 8-year financial security while betting on Vancouver's championship trajectory. The new reality forces him to accept shorter-term commitment while hoping the Canucks can maximize their competitive window before his deal expires, and he faces another career crossroad. The timing feels particularly cruel for Hughes, who has developed into an elite player just as the rules governing elite player contracts have changed to his disadvantage. He's being asked to make long-term career decisions based on shorter-term contract security, essentially accepting more frequent career uncertainty in exchange for potentially higher per-year compensation. The championship stakes, the intersection of Hughes' contract negotiation and CBA changes, creates a perfect storm that could determine Vancouver's franchise trajectory for the next decade. If they can convince Hughes to commit under the new 7-year framework, they maintain their championship timeline while accepting shorter cost certainty. If they lose him, they face organizational rebuilding at a time when their fan base expects contention. The broader implications extend throughout the NHL, as other superstar players approaching contract negotiations must recalibrate their expectations and strategies. The era of 8-year security is ending just as salary caps are increasing, creating unprecedented complexity in player valuation and contract strategy. For Hughes specifically, this represents the cruel reality of professional sports timing. Sometimes external factors beyond player control, league negotiations, ownership priorities, economic conditions, determine career trajectories more than on-ice performance or personal preferences. The next few months will reveal whether Hughes views 7-year security in Vancouver as sufficient for his championship ambitions, or whether the reduced term flexibility makes other markets more attractive. His decision will ripple through the NHL landscape, potentially setting precedents for how elite players approach contract negotiations under the new CBA framework. What's your take on how these CBA changes will impact superstar contracts moving forward? Do you think Hughes should take the security of a 7-year extension with Vancouver, or does the shortened term make exploring other options more appealing? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit that like button if you found this deep dive into the intersection of contract negotiations and league politics as fascinating as I did.